Hello, in this problem we're going to look at finding all the 6 trig ratios if you're given the point 0, -4, so that's the x and y coordinate, and it lies on that circle that has that point. Alright, so first I just want to mention that if you had, what's a little odd about this is it lies right on the y-axis, right? It's 4 units down from the origin on the y-axis. And if you were to rotate so that you're almost there but not quite, like this, then what you'd have is, you know, a right triangle, and here's your terminal side. You drop to the x-axis right here, and then this in here would be your, from the x-axis to the terminal side would be your reference angle. Or, so I'm on the left side of that y-axis, right? If I were here and I had rotated just a little bit past it this way, right, past the y-axis, then I'd have the terminal side here, and I'd, you know, drop the y-axis over here to the y-axis, the perpendicular, and there my angle will be there. But what we actually have is this. Right, and so technically it's all y and no x, right? That's why it's the 0.04. But what we have is, just like we would have here, when we're looking at the 6 trig ratios, this would be the x side, and this would be the y side, and then the r. Or here we'd have the x, and here's the y, and here's the r. And you're looking at the lengths. You still have here the point 0, -4. So essentially x is 0, y is -4. And then what's your radius? Well, you could use the formula, and you could say x squared plus y squared equals r squared, right? So you'd have 0 squared plus -4 squared is r squared. So -4 squared is 16 is r squared. But the square root here. Now you could put r in absolute value, but remember the radius is always positive. So here you'd have r is 4. Right? But hopefully that makes sense, because remember, what is this on? This is on a circle. I don't know if I'll draw this beautifully, but I'll try. That no matter what direction you're in, what's the radius? It's always what? 4. The radius is 4. Right? It just happens to be that they gave you, you know, the distance going down. That's it. So now what we know then is that x is 0, y is -4, and the radius is 4. Right? So now when you find your 6 trig ratios, you're doing what you would normally do. You'd say, well, okay, sine of that angle, which by the way, that angle would be what? 270 degrees, right? Is y over r. So in our case, -4 over 4, which is -1. Cosine of the angle is x over r, which would be 0 over 4, right? This 0 over that 4, and that's what? 0. Tangent of the angle is y over x, which is -4 over 0. And remember that you can't divide by 0, so that's undefined. Right? And then over here, cosecant, so the reciprocal of sine is cosecant. But the reciprocal of -1 over 1 is going to be still, so you get -1. So let's see, for cosine, you'd have secant. Would be, you flip this, would be 4 over 0, which is what? Undefined. And then finally, cotangent would be 0 over -4, which would be 0 still, right? So those are your 6 trig ratios. Thanks so much for listening.